when the Seahawks are fading, the Jets are fading. Geno Smith's play has dipped in recent weeks. Both teams need this win to get or to keep, their playoff hopes alive. Jets are favored by 1.5. Where are you leaning on this one, Peter?
I kind of like the Jets, and I'll tell you why I like the Jets. I think the Seahawks understand that, and clearly when you play for Pete Carroll, every game is the championship game and all that stuff. But I think mentally they understand that a lot of their weaknesses have been plumbed by other teams. And I think right now the best single unit that will be on the field on Sunday in Seattle is the Jets defense. And I just like particularly that pass rush to make Geno Smith uncomfortable, to perhaps force him into a couple of errors. And I don't know how the Jets are going to score points, but I do think that in the passing game, they're going to be significantly better with a fairly healthy Mike White. And I like the Jets on Sunday.
Yeah, look, I would like the Jets if they were playing at home. I think it's tough to overcome the whole specter of the 12th man, and they understand they're up against it, and they haven't played well. And it just feels like one of these cases where Geno Smith and that extra little impetus from being thrown overboard by the Jets, and in hindsight, if they'd known, they would have kept him around. It's just an example of how maybe some of these guys, it's a clear example of how some of these guys who get one shot, get a limited window, and just kind of get forgotten about, still have value. And Geno Smith clearly still has value. And Mike White coming back from that rib injury that knocked him out for a couple of games. It's just both are feeling dysfunctional right now. This is kind of the stage of the year where which team feels less dysfunctional. And to me, the Seahawks feel a little less dysfunctional, and the home crowd and the noise and everything that goes with playing in Seattle will just give them the lift they need. But I don't have a whole lot of faith in either team making it to the postseason, regardless of what happens on Sunday. Bears at the Lions. Lions need a win to stay alive in the wild card race after getting thumped by the Carolina Panthers. Can they take care of business against the Bears team, who has a quarterback who can do to the Lions what the Panthers running backs did last week?
It's obvious. It's easy just to say, I'm taking the Lions, because the Bears are on this long losing streak. And obviously it's to the Bears' benefit long-term if they lose, even though I don't think they will approach it that way. I think the one thing about the Lions that would concern me, particularly playing just against Justin Fields, is that, that was not just an Instamatic, a Polaroid photo last week in Charlotte. The Lions have been awful against the run all year. They're giving up 5.1 yards a carry, Mike. And so to me, I think the game plan on Sunday for the Bears, and the reason why it's going to be another 100-yard game for Justin Fields, is run it early, run it often, and don't stop running, and try to keep the ball away from Jared Goff.
Yeah, and look, the Bears keep things interesting. They're 6-point underdogs in this game, and something Sims pointed out a couple weeks ago. With Justin Fields, they're always a danger to cover that spread, especially late. All it takes is one of these spectacular runs. He leaks out of the pocket, and he just explodes past everyone, and you put 7 on the board. And they had a crazy, wacky, nutty game between the Lions and the Bears at Soldier Field earlier this year, going back and forth. Back when the Lions were starting to figure out who they were going to become. They desperately need this one, though. Lions lose, and Washington wins this weekend against the Browns, and the Lions are eliminated after making that late run. And there's good cause to be optimistic if you're a Bears fan, even though this year is not ending well. Maybe next year they put enough pieces around Justin Fields that they can be a contender in the NFC North or as a wild card team. I mentioned the Browns and the Commanders, Peter. That's the next one on the docket here. Carson Wentz is back. Taylor Heineke's benched. The Commanders are 7-1, and if they win their final 2 games, Browns this week, Cowboys the next, in a game that may mean absolutely nothing to Dallas, Washington gets in at a minimum as the 7th seed.
Yeah, I think the way I look at this one, Mike, is that I think Cleveland is an odd team right now because they're playing for a little bit different reason than many teams are. They're playing because they're trying to get miles on the odometer in the Cleveland offense, in the Stefanski offense, for Deshaun Watson. So they're playing this game as much to get experience for a very good quarterback in Deshaun Watson as they are anything else. So that's why I think this is going to be more of a high-scoring game than people might think, because clearly Carson Wentz is going to be throwing the ball a lot. I think Deshaun Watson is going to be throwing the ball a lot. And while there is some emphasis in Cleveland to try to get Nick Chubb the rushing title, it just seems to be a little bit too far out of sight. He's 195 yards behind Josh Jacobs. And so I don't see that happening. I see them playing this game and playing the final game of the season against the Pittsburgh Steelers to try to get 8 good offensive quarters on the board for Deshaun Watson. What that means about who's going to win this game, I'd probably take Cleveland, surprisingly, even though obviously Washington has more to play for. But I think that this could be the first really good game we see Deshaun Watson play for the Cleveland Browns.
Well, there definitely hasn't been one yet, and this is all extended preseason for 2023. Getting the rust off, getting him ready to go all in, minimal distractions. He's still got some of these off-field issues, including a trial that's likely to happen next year in the offseason for one of the remaining lawsuits against him. But no more suspension, no more time away from football, and next year the Browns hopefully will see the kind of Deshaun Watson that we saw when he was with the Texans.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.